Throughout this video, you're going to see plenty of evidence to show that Killmonger is dangerous just on his own, but imagine him getting his own symbiote and changing tiers, surpassing the super soldier tier on top of all this stuff I'm going to tell you in this video. Yeah, think about it. A super soldier tier with symbiote, raw power output on top of your crazy fighting skills and experience and knowledge. Oh boy, Killmonger. When you're always matching Black Panther, no matter if we're talking about live action or the comics themselves, Killmonger, let's talk about him in the comic books. It's pretty straightforward. He's got a Wakandan name, but he changed his name to Erik. His father worked for a very bad guy, Claw. His father died. He was abandoned here in the U.S. Neither Claw nor T'Challa noticed or cared. He grew up in Harlem alone, taught at MIT, so he's not dumb. He's kind of smart. It's talked about how he studied business, earned a PhD in engineering, and became a teacher at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. That's when he got beef with T'Challa. He decided he would make a better king than T'Challa. He had begun forbidden genetic experiments. Similar pages like this reiterate all that stuff I just said, just in case you guys need some more lore deep diving. Heck, he's even got his own lair, technically his own pets, that are with him by his side. He has this thing known as the resurrection altar. Let's just say this guy's been resurrected a lot. They even talk about it. Killmonger came back from the dead because it's talked about more than once. He rose from the grave, one with the aid of the Mandarin rings, only to be returned to dust once the Mandarin's plans were defeated. Claw used his sonic powers to briefly revive him as well. Killmonger has followers, by the way. Yeah, Killmonger's death regiment, fanatic followers, would not allow his spirit to roam the earth. Killmonger had given many of them powers beyond their dreams. They felt some small sacrifice would not be out of order. That's when we're coming into the fact about this resurrection altar. All that was required was a small sacrifice to appease the gods of the altar. His ashes were sprinkled over the new host, and the faithful offered their own lives, and they truly believed that altar had magical properties, that their sacrifice would raise the dead, and they were right. Like, he makes himself strong, but he also hooks up his subjects or his loyal people to be mutated as well. When it comes to his strength and why he's strong, without even talking about gear, which I'm going to get to in 2 seconds, there's literally comments that talk about that he has genetically enhanced strength. It's implied every time he gets resurrected, he gets stronger too, because of the resurrection altar I always tell you about. But yeah, through science and training, Erik has turned his body into a lethal, muscle-bound weapon. Because, you know, in Marvel, with enough training, you can achieve amazing strength with hard work and dedication. But on top of this, Killmonger has enhanced strength, speed, durability, and senses derived from a synthetic version of the heart-shaped herb. You know, the heart-shaped herb that gives Black Panther their strength. He has a synthetic version. That's why he can hang with Black Panther tiers. He may look vulnerable, but believe it or not, he has a lot of gear. I mean, even in the handbooks, Marvel talks about how he's an extraordinary hand-to-hand combatant, and you can use a whole bunch of different type of weapons. Like, he can use your standard guns. He got like his own little weapon room here. He can use all these. He has great aim. He has like these wrist mount things he can shoot from his wrist. Even when he was temporarily the Black Panther, yeah, he actually was Black Panther. He uses these. Like, you can tell when he's Black Panther because his outfit looks so unique. Like, look at his junk around his neck. It looks cool. But yeah, these wrist things, these things he shoots with, they come in handy. On top of using like rifles and guns, his outfit even has like spikes he would use as a weapon too, like these red junks with these spikes on it. He will use a sword, a spear. He'll even dual wield blades and spears. This kind of reminds me of the movie version. Over the years, through his adventures, he has to find ways to counter this guy on his claw, like the sound-based guy. Narrated, a sonic blast and you remain unharmed? That's what Claw says. It's talked about. He got this medallion fashioned of pure Wakandan vibranium to absorb any sonic energy directed at me. So it's like a prep time thing over his adventures. Experience fighting Claw. He has something to counter Claw on him. He's got stuff to use against Claw. He has other gear like this ring. He seems to have blades built into his gauntlets to where he always kind of like got blades on him. Depending on certain situations, he will actually get armored up. I'm talking about face mask, body armor, and everything when he really wants to fight Black Panther. When Black Panther's super armored up in his super armor, the handbook even labels it armor. If you see Killmonger pull this out, just know you're probably a worthy foe, like the Black Panther himself. Over the years, he's had different armors and gear, like this, for example, in more recent comics. And then you can say this is like a temporary armor when he was temporarily Black Panther. Like, people called him Killmonger, but yeah, he was the Black Panther. He had the actual Black Panther armor on. Looks cool though. But yeah, without even counting this, let's talk about his muscle and how strong he is. Like, there's clear evidence he can easily lift grown men above his head, like the Black Panther himself. No telling how much this weighs, but there's implications he can support the weight of these kind of statues. And he has some decent grip strength. without even necessarily talking about weapons, like this is legit some Baki anime type stuff. Like there's this elephant like that's ridiculously large. Multiple beings are having a hard time restraining it. So this can kind of give you an idea of how strong you'd have to be to overpower this elephant. This elephant got loose, and guess what? Killmonger pushed this thing to the ground with his bare hands by himself when multiple men couldn't hold it down. This didn't seem like this was that much effort. This can kind of let you know his muscle. Based on that elephant thing, he probably could turn over a couple cars if he wanted to, like push them over. And then you got occasions of him clashing muscles with Black Panther, even threatening to shatter his spine. This is the kind of stuff Black Panther can do with his muscle, tearing through airplane doors, tearing through restraints, muscle to break metal. Like, this is how strong Black Panther is. This is who Killmonger has to match in muscle all the time. I mean, think about it. This elephant feat kind of reminds me of those times where Black Panther also overpowered and stopped elephants, or did this to rhinos. And we're not going to talk about when he was temporarily Black Panther, Killmonger matched the muscles of freaking Deadpool, a super soldier tier, of course, like Captain America and blah, Wolverine tiers. This statue probably weighs 100 or close to 100 tons. We see Deadpool push stuff like this down. Look how large it is. Yeah. Literally does this to control panels and carried this heavy bomb above his head. This has to be the weight of a couple cars or close to the weight of a car. Guys, honestly, this bomb looks like it weighed 25 or 30 plus tons, guys. This thing is huge. And Killmonger is in this neighborhood of strength with super soldier tiers like Deadpool and stuff. Let that sink in. He's always been a threat for the Black Panther tiers. With all this muscle, thanks to the synthetic heart-shaped herb, what do you think the weight of his hits feel like? I mean, heck, Marvel themselves even admit when a character can lift a lot of weight, it translates to their punching power. Like, why would they give them super strength if they couldn't use it in a fist fight? So yeah, Marvel even explained it. This is not necessarily Killmonger, but the same concept should apply. He says, look, I can press 10 tons, which ought to give you an idea what my fist will do to your face. So it lets you know that when a character has a decent level of lifting power, that it translates to how hard they can hit. Killmonger should be no exception. Matter of fact, Killmonger probably is in this guy's tier that said this, freaking U.S. agent. U.S. agent said he can freaking press 10 tons. And based on that Deadpool feat, this 10-ton stuff seems to make sense. Don't dare give him a weapon that got a blade on it. Just little small examples of him hitting beings and then go toppling down a hill. This time he's hitting Black Panther in this fight using this weapon, this spike junk, and look what he does to the tree. Guess you could kind of consider this a striking feat, pushing, decked this elephant with the weight of his hits. Putting an elephant down like this, tackling him, I would say he should be able to at least hit with 2 tons of force. Based on the average weight of elephants being 2 to even 4 up to 6 tons and stuff. Some elephants even getting as heavy as 7 tons. This elephant didn't look like a small elephant, if we're being honest, based on its weight. Overpowering that elephant's muscle. Just something to think about. It's no surprise when he was temporarily Black Panther, he can kick doors down. And when there's multiple Dormology on him, they're probably not normal either. They was trying to arrest him. He literally hit all of them off of him at the same time. Without sugarcoating anything, this is what Killmonger's hits would do to like a garage door. I'm just giving you a visual. The weight of his hits would probably feel like an elephant falling on your face. He could punch through solid brick walls and concrete with laughable ease at this point, just like other super soldier tiers can in the Marvel universe. I think a good example when it comes to strength is of what a super soldier tier could be at peak, like a peak super soldier tier is somebody like U.S. agent, somebody that's confirmed to be able to press 10 tons. I don't see no reason why Killmonger couldn't do this too, being able to lift literal cars and support these decently sized tanks, which probably is around 10 or more tons, which adds up with his statement. Captain America and U.S. agent strength has to be somewhere in each other's ballpark because they literally have fought each other for 27 minutes. I kind of believe Killmonger's in this ballpark of all these beings being able to lift 10 tons. I mean, if you look at some of Captain America's striking feats, it kind of implies that he would have to be in that range of power to do some of the stuff he does. Like how Captain America can destroy a tank by throwing his shield. Like, what kind of strength is this? Now you see why I believe these super soldier tiers can lift 10 tons at the bare minimum. I mean, there's literally too many comics of them fist fighting each other, like Killmonger fighting Black Panther. Right here, he's not even really armored up like that, for example. We've seen his durability. You know he ain't normal. He's been kicked in the face by Black Panther. I'm talking about long, extended fights with Black Panther getting hit, bouncing back from the hit, then punching Black Panther back, and these two just slugfesting and fighting continually. He's clearly Black Panther tier. He's at the very least on par with T'Challa in his base stealth. Maybe not necessarily on par with T'Challa that has newer suits that allow him to boost his strength times 10. But yeah, Killmonger's definitely a high-end super soldier tier type character. I'm talking about literally boxing it out with Black Panther for hours. It doesn't get more visually clear cut. Like, look at these long panels. Fighting him so long to where our limbs will no longer answer. They're meant to be similar. Yeah. Who else you seen give Black Panther a run for the money like this? on plenty of occasions. This is also a skill feat considering how good of a fighter Black Panther is. He's one of the best fighters in Marvel, and he apparently has managed to beat T'Challa so many times. Even characters like Spectrum acknowledge that Killmonger's beaten Black Panther a bunch of times. Killmonger even gets cocky and kind of backs up his cockiness. He says, I've always had the power to beat you. He says he can beat him at will. One could say the only advantage that Black Panther really has over Killmonger is vibranium. He says he has vibranium weave, but can you say the same? No, not really. But even without crazy gear, Killmonger still can give him a run for the money. But indeed, he pulls out his gear, and there's even implications. Look like he was going to get the upper hand over the Black Panther here until other beings intervened. The weight of super soldier tears, he can block their attacks. The weight of their hits. Getting full-blown slugfest with them in extended type of fashion. All of this stuff should technically go for his fighting speed. He's matching Deadpool in fighting speed. Just a friendly reminder that Deadpool can react and deflect gunfire and literally stare at bullets and slice them in half. And Killmonger can box it out with beings with this kind of combat speed, just to throw that out there. Basically, just like the super soldier tears, if you was to shoot at Killmonger, he would be able to cut the bullets up with just his raw fighting speed, him wielding melee weapons. Now you got examples like this. When we're talking about his fighting speed, these beings come in with guns and all he has is a table and they're shooting at him. He blitzes them with the table and they can't even land a good shot on him before they do anything. This can be seen as skill, combat speed, and battle IQ all at the same time. Same with the Black Panther himself. Throughout this video, you've seen plenty of evidence of them boxing it out. You can tell fighting speed isn't an issue. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I'm back. Yeah, Killmonger eventually gets a literal symbiote. And if you look at what some of the symbiote stuff, like not necessarily this symbiote, but other symbiotes have done in the past. I mean, we've seen Spider-Man really struggle to overpower Venom's arm, saying he's too strong. And we know Spider-Man can lift trucks, buses, tanks, supports the weight of some of this building. Yeah, obviously not the whole thing, but yeah, buildings like this can weigh over hundreds of thousands of tons. Even if you lifted 1%, that would still be like 1,000 tons. If we assume Killmonger is similar to other symbiotes in the past that can overpower Spider-Man with muscle, or at least in that same ballpark, that would imply that a symbiote Killmonger would be able to lift at least 1,000 tons if other Spider-Man tier characters, Spider-Man himself, can support this kind of weight or even more. Like I'm lowballing this right here, for example. But if he's in that Venom-ish ranges, Killmonger with a symbiote would be in this range by default. Just a standard Venom, might I add. If we were to say Killmonger was in the same situation, do you think he would be able to support the weight of the building like Spider-Man did? What do you think the weight of his hits would do to freaking buildings and stuff if he can hit with this kind of tons of force? I mean, think about what the other symbiotes have done in the past, like Venom. Literally has punched beings through the floors of buildings. Hit so hard, they actually tear up a big chunk of a building. This would be a massively powered up Killmonger with all this fighting skill. That's scary. On top of all this stuff, he can do the standard symbiote stuff like making tendrils, hit you from long range, make multiple limbs basically, entangle you, symbiote stuff. Symbiote him, we've seen him do this to the Spear of Bashinga. As crazy as this seems, he doesn't need this symbiote stuff to be a threat though. Because you remember how I mentioned earlier about how he's kind of smart? Let's not talk about Killmonger with prep time. Somebody as powerful as Monica, Spectrum, a being that can turn the light and move at the speed of light, was literally captured by Killmonger because of prep time. It's even stated here. It's crazy. Killmonger doesn't even have powers and he's captured me. Like you see his tech, like he actually got her contained. You can't just rain down bullets. He got shields that are prepped for this kind of stuff. Killmonger basically worked together. Like this page explains, like this is the room Monica's in. He worked together with this smart ape to keep her contained. There was this being that was the source of Killmonger's advanced weaponry, a talking monkey. So he's not above asking for help if it's smart, if it fits his needs. I mean, Killmonger with prep even thought of fighting Black Panther in a way to get an advantage over him too, saying he magnetized it and his armor with different polarities. Now they repel each other, effectively disarming Black Panther. I want to let it be known that the monkey that worked with Killmonger with the technology, she eventually broke out, but this was very tough. But she eventually broke out though. I swear the writers love killing off Killmonger, only to bring him back in different stories for that fits their needs. But for right now, they want to get rid of him. But what do you guys think about Killmonger? Did you guys know he was this strong? Not bad for somebody that has less than 100 appearances in comics. Yeah, he really doesn't appear that much. But everybody hit that like button for me. Thanks for the donations. Did the movies do him justice? I want to hear your thoughts. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.